This is Dunnigan Kaiser, founder of Liberty and Finance. I'm now a licensed gold and silver dealer with Miles Franklin. Call me directly for the physical gold and silver that you need at the best price with personalized, private service from one of the oldest and best respected companies in the business. 30 years strong, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, 0 complaints, licensed and bonded, insured delivery or vault storage or IRAs, excellent prices, privacy and confidentiality, pay by check, money order, ACH or wire, satisfaction guaranteed. Call me directly at 419-819-9209 or my associate at 310-562-6400 or email us at kaiser@milesfranklin.com. Welcome back to Liberty and Finance. We have a returning guest. Andy Schectman is the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals. He joins us this Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Andy, thanks for coming back on for another weekly market update.
Always good to be here, Dunnigan. Thanks for having me again.
I know we try to keep these tight and short, so I'm going to jump right into a couple of hot stories that are swirling right now. One of them just broke in the news over yesterday, and that was the Beverly Hills raiding and seizing a bunch of assets from the private safe deposit box place where people didn't have to give ID of any kind. They used like a optical scan or a finger scan or something to get access to safe deposit boxes. They opened all the boxes with a warrant which has still been sealed, and they seized everybody's property. If you want to go claim it, you got to go to the authorities and identify yourself. So people are raising the questions, is this what lies ahead for anybody who keeps their precious metals, for example, in some kind of private storage, and they're concerned about it. You know, the old saying is if you don't hold it, you don't own it, and people are concerned. What's the difference between what happened in Beverly Hills yesterday versus having precious metals in storage, for example, with Miles Franklin on our Brinks program or with Dakota Depository or other depositories that they may work with around the country? Can you help us understand the importance and the implications of what just happened?
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, I've had an experience with a facility like that in Las Vegas. There's one about a mile from the airport, and a long time ago, David Morgan and I went and toured it and checked it out, and I opened up an account there. And although never really did anything, there were certain things that I guess you could see as it being convenient, and other things that kind of make me feel like it's lends itself to nefarious practices. And I know that in glancing at that story that you're talking about, evidently they were marketing themselves to a segment of the populace or the population rather, who wanted to avoid any type of IRS scrutiny. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, even the way that they phrased things were in their literature was kind of directed in that vein. Also, I know they had some informants or undercover people who substantiated this type of a situation. And yeah, you know, when I went to the place in Las Vegas, he said to me, "We have drug sniffing dogs that go through here every week. As long as you don't put drugs in here, I don't care what you put in here." And I think that in and of itself is part of the problem, in that when you talk about the metals facilities, our Brinks programs in particular, we can't store anything in there except for gold, silver, platinum, palladium. We can't store numismatics. We can't store jewelry. We can't store documents. We can't store anything other than physical gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. And, you know, I think that when you go to a private facility like that, that has loose regulations or controls in terms of what can and can't be put inside of those boxes, when you are marketing yourself in a way that is less than professional, shall we say, for lack of a better definition or word in that case, then yeah, I guess that could happen. But I in no way would draw a parallel between a physical precious metal storage facility and a private facility like that. In fact, no way whatsoever. You know, you're dealing in when you talk about Brinks in a company that is very, very, very by the book and above board, and everything is audited and segregated. They know what's inside the boxes rather than having no idea what's inside the boxes, and that's what the insurance is there for. All that kind of stuff. Those private facilities, they're not insured because they don't know what's inside the box. So you can't insure if you don't know what's in there. Lending, I think, to these types of problems where, you know, this is why the FBI would have raided the place. And so Not really the problem I see with an above board storage facility, but any of these private facilities where that's the case, where you use a retina scan, no identification, no reporting, really no regulations as to what can go into the box except for illicit drugs. Yeah, you're asking, I think, for that type of a problem to happen.
Something else that comes to mind is when I was becoming a Miles Franklin licensed dealer. In order to become licensed, I had to have a background check run on me to make sure that I had clean background. But also, it made me think about the training that is provided by Miles Franklin, like anti-money laundering training. We have to make sure that all of the transactions that we engage in are all up and up. And as part of the anti-money laundering training is to know your customer, and that's the aspect. They said, I've read in the article that there were like billboards saying, we don't even want to know who you are. That's
right. Well, and that's the point. You're right, and that's a really good point actually, because the AML and the Minnesota licensing requires us to do that level of due diligence, which, in and of itself ought to remove just about 99% of any potential problem. If something is, if metal were coming from outside the United States to a place we didn't know, to a person we didn't know, or from a person we didn't know, and we felt less than comfortable about it, yeah, absolutely, it wouldn't happen. When I went to the place in Las Vegas, I walked in, I did a retina scan, I had signed my name, and I had an account. And then, you pay each month. If you don't pay, the box gets closed, period. So, yeah, it's convenient, I suppose, but also would lend itself to those types of problems. So no, look, the best way to store metal is to remove any and all counterparty risk. Do it yourself. Short of that, don't be penny wise and pound foolish, and go to a reputable third party, fully insured storage facility, and I don't think you'll have those issues. But, again, people want to be completely safe. Become a midnight gardener and dig a big hole in the ground late at night and put your stuff in there. You put it down 2 feet down in some sort of a PVC pipe capped on both ends, and you bury it vertically, not horizontally. There's not a metal detector on the planet that will find that. So, it's you can become a midnight gardener if you want. You can get very creative, but for a lot of people, storage is a good solution. And in that respect, don't skimp. Don't go to a place like that where you could run into problems where you have to try to go back and justify what you're doing. Instead, work with a company like ours with the Brinks program that is above board, that is time tested, that I've never seen one problem in 10 years with our Brinks program, not one. And so in a world of imperfect choices, done again, to me, it's as good as it gets.
Another story that's been swirling for the last couple of weeks is this concern about people who think they're participating in silver ownership, but they find out that they, by just being in an unallocated or pooled account or an ETF like SLV, in fact, don't have legal title to any metal and don't even have a clear path to be able to get their hands on any metal if they want to, or even if there is a path, it may be stand in line and wait months and pay fees and that sort of thing. We talked about that some last week. Any updates from you on the, where there's smoke, there's fire? Is there anything emerging that we definitely know for sure that people need to be aware of in this weekly update?
The latest one I heard coming out of Perth Mint is that some of the people, they were in unallocated and wanted to move to allocated. The first step in doing that is to pay for fabrication. So you pay to have them fabricate. Well, I saw John Adams sent out a tweet this morning that said the people who paid for fabrication received Chinese bars. And the theory or the statement was, well, what the heck am I fabricating if I'm getting Chinese bars? You're not fabricating anything. You already have the bars. And why are they Chinese bars and not the Perth bars? And they were told that's all we have. So the point of it is that, look, either Mr. Adams is onto something or he's a very brave gentleman, because he is going at this with the Perth Mint. And they're a big organization. Obviously, he believes very, very much in what he's talking about. I have to say that I've seen a lot of people who have replied back to me saying similar things, that, yeah, I tried to do the same thing. I was shot down. They said 8 weeks. They said it couldn't be done. So he's not alone in his feelings or in his proclamations or his declarations. He's not. Uh, I don't know anything for sure, but like we talked about with where there's smoke, there's fire. We're seeing it everywhere. Now it's in Kitco. We're seeing talks about the same thing happening with the Kitco pooled program. Um, we've seen recently that Mexico is no longer going to be sending out Libertads. We're seeing all sorts of metal being pulled off of the exchanges. 30 million ounces was taken out of COMEX warehouses since the beginning of the year. Huge amount. This April delivery month in gold, the first 2 days saw 20,000 contracts or 2 million ounces delivered in gold. This is the same thing we've been talking about forever, Dunnigan. For the last year, I've been beating this up over everyone's head that what to me was so different was the amount of deliveries. And now they're leaving the building. So you put it all together, you're getting a mass exodus from the system. But what are these synthetic programs? They are synthetic until someone says, give me my stuff. Well, Madoff was running a smooth operation until people said, give me my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point, is that if it's synthetic and you're not paying for storage, there's another one. I don't know anything about Bullion Vault. I don't. They might be a perfectly good company. Never heard a bad word about them, but I know their storage is, like an eighth of a percent. I mean, some tiny, tiny, tiny amount, and it's not allocated. My point is simply this, that when you are storing metal that is unallocated and you're paying nothing or next to nothing for it, you're getting nothing or next to nothing for it when you need it in an environment like this. And whether there is legitimacy, which really appears that there is at the Perth, I don't know it for sure, but it sure feels like it. Whether there's legitimacy at the Royal Mint, whether there's legitimacy in at Kitco, you have some very influential people talking about this nonstop. And when I take a step back and I say, well, hey, you got these sovereign wealth funds and these family offices. What are family offices? Family offices are the same thing as a hedge fund, just with less restrictions. They're smaller. So a lot of the hedge funds become family offices because they don't want to deal with the restrictions that the hedge funds have to face. Family offices really don't have to face much. You're talking some of the wealthiest private investors in the world. And they are draining the COMEX of metal, 2 million ounces in the first 2 days of gold. 50 million, 60 million ounces off of COMEX in the March delivery month in silver, plus the ETFs, plus the exchange for physical. You're seeing it everywhere. And so I think it will put a lot of stress on these synthetic programs as more and more people move out of unallocated to allocated. If anything that Mr. Adams is doing, he's waking up the people in Perth especially, but around the world who have unallocated programs. They're saying, geez, you know what, maybe he's onto something. And if more and more people start to pull metal out of unallocated and move to allocated, it's going to create a real issue. And maybe that's what we're beginning to see, because I believe what they're saying is true. I can't substantiate it, but I've heard from 100 different people, literally, by email every day. This is true. This is true. This is true. I see it. I see it. I see it. So you tell me, is it real? I don't know. It sure seems that way. And it's also increasing in its velocity. The story is with every passing
That's
day.
my concern, is the exposure that ordinary people may have, and that if they think, well, if it becomes a problem, then I'll go take care of business at that point. It's like, no, but from our experience in many, many other venues in life, and in this arena in particular, is by the time it becomes obvious that there's a problem, you're not going to be able to take care of business. So you've got to protect yourself before it becomes obvious. One more question that a lot of people have asked about recently. They asked, how is the silver demand holding up? We certainly have talked about the big silver squeeze, the grassroots effort that happened through Reddit and through Wall Street Silver and so on, end of January, beginning of February. Then there was a little bit of a breather about a few weeks ago, and now it just seems like we're back into the crunch again. Can you talk to people about what the current trend is that you're seeing in silver demand supply balance?
Yeah, I get a gold order nowadays, I'm almost surprised, put it to you that way. I mean, it's all silver. The demand is huge, and we're doing more business We've done over $100 million in sales in the first 3 months, Dunnigan, and that's as big as it gets for our company. And it's almost all silver. Everyone's buying silver. There is an awakening. There has been an awakening to just what the real value of silver is. And people are all bummed out about the price, but you can't be. You just have to understand that they can't hold this back. The only way that the market can be manipulated over time is to push it in the direction that it is going. And the amount of people that are waking up to buying physical silver is really shocking to me, and it will have an effect. I keep talking about the Wall Street silver and the silver squeeze. Look, as I've said now for the last few weeks, you cannot try to take on JP and Goldman and the bullion banks. You'll lose. But if we drain the world of all the physical supply, there's just nothing left. And all of the people holding unallocated programs request allocation or fabrication. Very, very, very quickly, you will see this spill over into the COMEX. There'll be nowhere else to find silver. And at that point, the price has to reach equilibrium. Price discovery has to happen. Right now, price discovery isn't happening. This is a gift and a subsidy. And it's real easy for a guy who sells gold and silver to say that, but it's true. I mean, it's true. Based upon the worldwide demand, based upon the difficulty getting product, based upon the delivery of these sovereign wealth funds and these family offices, based upon what we see coming off of the London Metals Exchange, off Shanghai, backdooring out of ETFs, everything that I see tells me that the most sophisticated, well-funded people on the planet are doing just this ahead of everyone else. So the demand is real. The price is a gift. You can't find anything under $30. So the real price is at least $30. And, if I had to guess, that's just going to be the very beginning, because it's not getting easier to find stuff. And more and more people are interested in it. So, yeah, it's real. The demand is real. And the supply difficulty is real. Does it get better? I don't know. You have a whole awakening, not just in the United States, but globally. And for the past 30, 40 years, no one's been invested in it. So, you get a 5% or a 10% interest in precious metals globally, you're talking a 20, 30-fold increase in demand that anything this industry has seen in 40 years. And when I say this industry, it's not just the United States. A lot of the stuff that's made in the U.S. or in Canada, that goes to Asia or the Middle East. It's gone. It never comes back. It's not just being delivered into the U.S. There's a whole world that is waking up to what's happening to fiat currencies, and they're all competing for the same limited resource. So these are, I would argue, late innings of a ball game that might go extra innings, but I think it's going to get real interesting as we get closer to the end of the game in getting product and getting it at a reasonable price in a reasonable amount of time.
I know it's been challenging for you each week when I ask you if we can do a weekly special, because we have had challenges sourcing different types of product, but you always are able to pull some kind of a rabbit out of a hat and say, look, we got at least this in, we can offer this. So what special can we offer our viewers this week?
So I have 28,000 2021 silver Krugerrands in stock and 20,000 more that should float in this week. 48,000 silver Krugerrands that I will offer at, I believe, to be the lowest ask price here in the country, $5.75 over the price of silver. Any quantity. And when the Krugerrands, the gold Krugerrand, Dunnigan, is the oldest 1 ounce gold coin in the world. They're the first mint to make 1 ounce gold coins. When the silver Krugerrand came out just a few years ago, they were priced extraordinarily high. They were a novelty. I think they're one of the neatest silver coins there is. It's interesting how many people tell me they don't want a coin with the picture of the Queen on it. I was never aware of that until really the last year or two, where I get that all the time. So when you talk about coins other than the U.S., the Britannia from the UK has the Queen. The Kangaroo from Australia has the Queen. The Maple Leaf has the Queen. So you have the Philharmonic and the Krugerrand, which don't have the Queen, and the U.S. Eagle. Of the 6 major mints, those 3 are your choice. So the Krugerrand has worldwide appeal. It is as well known as any coin in the world, at least on the gold side. And for the last 3-4 years, they've been making the silver coin. I'm a big fan of it. It's really neat. Comes in boxes of 500. These are all brand new 2021s, 575 over any quantity.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. And folks, don't hesitate to get a hold of us if you want to. There'll be information in this video on how to do that. And don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter at libertyandfinance.com. Just go over in the left-hand margin, put your name and email address in there. We'll get you 3 times a week our emails out with all of our guests, all of their comments, all of the specials, any links that they provide. Andy, as always, on behalf of our viewers, just thanks for joining us for this weekly market update on Liberty and Finance.
Thanks for having me. I know you're going to be doing an interview with Rick Rule here later today. I'm, for one, will be very eager to hear that interview. I know it'll be nice to hear Rick's take on things now that he's not bound by the shackles of regulation. So maybe just to hear his take on things in a little bit of a different atmosphere will be very exciting. So keep having all those great guests on. And again, I'm a big fan of what you're doing, not just happy to be here, but also learn a lot from the people you have on. So
as do I.
Again, thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. It really is. It's a free education. When I'm paying for a college education for my son at the University of Michigan, and sometimes I think all he should do is sit and watch you and your guests and some of the other guys on YouTube, and they end up with a free college level education. And people should think about that for a minute. You used to have to pay lots of money to get what you and your guests are doing for free. So I'm honored to be here and have a small part in it, and also to be associated with you. So you have a great rest of your day, and hope to talk to you soon.
Take care. If you've decided that now is the right time for you to protect your family's financial future by acquiring physical precious metals, gold and silver, I'm delighted to let you know that I have now become a licensed dealer's representative for Miles Franklin, one of the oldest and most trusted names in bullion dealerships. And we can provide you with physical delivery to your personal possession or to professional vault storage or precious metals IRAs. Just email me at libertyandfinance@protonmail.com, and please include your name and phone number in your email to libertyandfinance@protonmail.com. We'll get right back with you and find out how to best meet your needs so that you can either begin or increase your acquisition of physical precious metals now and protect your family's future starting today.